My presentation is about the voters of the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. And I made four dashboards, one based on the Power View feature, and three other based on the Power Pivot feature of Excel. And what I did was I looked at the voters for both parties based on marital status, religion, on gender, age, and finally income and occupation. This is my data for dashboard 1. I have three charts in dashboard 1. Chart 1 says voters based on marital status. Chart 2 is voters based on religion. Chart 3 is a combination of these two charts. And if I click on the Democratic Party slicer, then I can see that married voters, they have more married voters versus single voters, and when based on religion, there are more Protestant voters than Catholic voters. If I click on the slicer, Republican Party slicer, then I can see they also have more married voters versus single voters and more Protestant voters versus Catholic voters. The data, looking at the data this way, I can't tell that, but looking at it graphically with this dashboard and playing with these slices, I can better decipher this data. So if I was a politician and I wanted to cater my message and focus it, now I know how to better focus on which group uh, to get my votes. This is my data for dashboard 2. In dashboard 2, I have also three charts, and chart 1 is based on gender, the voters based on gender. Chart 2, the voters are based on age, and chart 3 is a combination of these two charts. And from chart 1, I could tell that Democrats have more female voters and Republicans have more male voters. Uh, I could click on the slicers and all three graphs would change. If I just wanted to look at the Democrats, I could tell that again they have more female voters versus male voters. Clicking on both Democrats and Republicans, I can see over here when it comes to age, Republicans, since it's more steeped, uh, this graph is more steep, I could tell that they have less younger voters and more older voters, whereas their Democrats, the graph is not as steep. So they have more younger voters, I can assume, versus the Republicans. And the third graph just summarizes it. The slicers help me choose, let's say, if I wanted to look at only 55 to 59 age group people. So this is pretty helpful versus looking at the data this way. So this is my data for dashboard 3. I set it up on 3 tabs, and then this is my dashboard 3. In dashboard 3, I looked at the voters based on their income 0 to 100K and 100K to 500 plus, and also on based on occupation, female and male occupations of the Republican and Democratic voters. So looking at the first chart, I can tell that in the Democratic Party, people making less than 100,000, mostly people, their voters are, the highest number of voters are in this section, 0 to 20,000. And it's exactly the opposite is on the Republican. People making over 100,000, they have this huge graph over here. They have more of these people, voters who are making over 100,000. So it is an opposite of these two, you can see. And on the occupation side, I found this interesting that I was listening in the news that blue collar voters are the ones who are actually running mostly the Republican Party. And I can see that the Republican Party, the blue collar people, they have a lot of blue collar people who are voting for them. So I guess the Republican Party are catering towards them. There's not as many female blue collar voters were voting for the Republicans, but the men, I can tell that from the media, whatever I hear, the data does show that. So this is the data for my last sheet, which is the party control sheet. This one I used Power View features, and from here we can tell this chart. Basically, these two charts will tell me who controlled in 2012 the legislative branch of the governorship uh, of the all 50 states. And you can tell over here that the Republicans in 2012 had 24, divided control between two parties were 14, and Democrats had 12 states that they were controlling. In 2016, before elections, we see that Republicans control 23, divided control is 20, Democrats is 7. And because the Democrats lost a lot of control over several of these states, we could see in politics that the Republicans were able to influence a lot of President Obama's agenda. So election, even if the Democrats do win the executive branch, they would have to probably increase their control if they want to really pursue their agenda. And this graph, as you can see, I can click on each of these links over here and look at them individually too.